So, here's the thing. Hollywood loves a comeback. It thrives on second chances, redemption arcs, and well-orchestrated PR revivals. But every so often, someone tries to climb the ladder too quickly, skipping steps, stepping on toes, and ends up crashing down in real time. Meghan Markle's latest stumble wasn't just an awkward misstep, it was a full-on fail. And as fate would have it, Drew Barrymore was standing right there when it happened. Let's not pretend these two didn't almost have a moment. Meghan walked onto the Drew Barrymore show like she was floating on a cloud of Montecito lavender, mist all glowing skin, choreographed poise, and curated charm. Drew, ever the gracious host, welcomed her like a long-lost sorority sister. Her eyes were gleaming. Compliments were flowing like champagne at a Netflix wrap party. For a brief second, it looked like a new Hollywood friendship was blooming. And why not? Drew's America's sweetheart, she's survived child stardom, scandals, setbacks, and somehow came out the other side warm, grounded, and still hugging everyone on set. Meghan, meanwhile, was deep into her rebrand. She was selling the California wellness queen vibe jam jars, minimalist chic, and vague talk of authenticity under the banner of American Riviera luxury. Together, they could have been the odd but lovable duo, the grounded veteran and the reinvented Duchess. But something went sideways fast. It started quietly, the way these things always do, with whispers. The kind that begin with allegedly, but you know they're probably true because they don't come from tabloids. They come from craft services, lighting techs, and the people actually working backstage. Word is, Meghan didn't show up as a guest. She showed up like royalty. A diva on arrival. From how she wanted to be introduced, to the tone she used with staff. Two small but telling moments, like demanding certain angles or interrupting a lighting setup, everything gave off the vibe of I'm not just a duchess, I'm the Duchess. But here's the thing. This is America. Titles don't carry the same weight here. We don't bow, we don't curtsy, and we definitely don't revere someone just because they married into royalty. Drew's entire brand, her show, her presence is built on being relatable. It's about realness, emotional honesty, spontaneous laughter, and the kind of warmth that feels like therapy with snacks. So when Meghan reportedly insisted on being introduced with a formal nod to her royal past, something along the lines of Duchess of Sussex or former royal-turned-lifestyle mogul, it clashed hard with the show's vibe. It didn't land. It didn't feel grounded. And insiders say Drew was surprised. Not angry, just genuinely caught off guard by the request. But that initial surprise reportedly started turning into discomfort. Meghan, according to people on set, acted like she was above the process, ignoring basic production flow, brushing off segment notes, and allegedly speaking down to crew members. And look, maybe you can get away with that kind of behavior in the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace. But on a Hollywood talk show set, that's not just bad manners, that's social suicide. Drew, she noticed, she clocked it. Quietly, professionally, but completely. This is a woman who's been in the industry her entire life. She's survived child stardom, addiction, public breakdowns, gossip columns, and somehow came out the other side with her heart intact. Drew doesn't fake friendships. She doesn't pretend for ratings, and she definitely doesn't play host to someone who treats her crew like they're beneath them. By the time the cameras stopped rolling, whatever spark had existed between the two had completely fizzled out into a cold, uncomfortable silence. And viewers picked up on it. At first, people were cringing at Drew's enthusiasm. Some even joked she was trying a little too hard to become Meghan's new bestie. But once the episode aired and whispers of behind-the-scenes drama began to leak out, public opinion quickly shifted. Suddenly, Drew didn't look overeager. She looked blindsided. She looked like someone who opened her platform and her arms, only to be met with ego and entitlement. And the wildest part, Meghan needed this moment badly. After the Netflix fallout, the Spotify disaster, the constant turnover of staff, the vague brand identity, she needed a clean win, a fresh interview, a moment of connection, something simple that reminded the public why they ever rooted for her in the first place. But instead of leaning into Drew's warmth and authenticity, instead of meeting the moment with grace, she leaned hard into status and spectacle. And that right there is what's making Hollywood side-eye her now. Because here, it's not just about how you show up, it's about how you treat people once you're in the room. And it wasn't just Drew's team that felt the frost. Industry insiders started whispering quietly at first about Meghan's attitude, about the tone, the posture, the little comments. And in Hollywood, those whispers don't stay quiet for long. In this business, image is everything. You can have the perfect teeth, the designer wardrobe, and a PR team that spins straw into gold, but if you're rude to the wrong assistant, or dismissive to the lighting guy, it spreads. And when the person who starts backing away from you is Drew Barrymore, someone known across the industry for kindness, patience, and second chances, people don't just notice, they listen. Executives started asking questions not openly, but in that subtle, boardroom kind of way where a raised eyebrow says more than a press release. Is Meghan really worth the risk? Can we invest in someone who's consistently making headlines? For status drama, diva behavior, and behind-the-scenes tension instead of actual content. This wasn't just another awkward interview moment. It was a quiet red flag, the kind that slowly builds until it becomes a full-blown deal-breaker at casting meetings and network calls. And then came the rumors. Meghan had allegedly insisted on being introduced with formal royal titles. When producers didn't comply, she reportedly became irritated. She even brushed off standard show protocols like they were beneath her. As if being on the Drew Barrymore show wasn't a collaborative space, but her personal press conference. But, here's the thing. This isn't a late-night talk show built on snark and sarcasm. This is Drew. Her whole brand is authenticity, a warm, welcoming energy, the emotional version of a living room with snacks. Guests cry on her couch. They laugh mid-sentence. They open up. That's the magic of the show. But Meghan, she walked in like she was stepping onto the red carpet at Buckingham Palace, poised, polished, and completely out of sync with the room. And behind the scenes, it got worse. According to crew members, Meghan wasn't overtly rude, no shouting, no slammed doors, but her energy was cold, her tone, off, her presence dismissive. It was subtle, but unmistakable, that kind of vibe where someone makes everyone around them feel smaller, just by being in the room. And in Hollywood, where relationships and reputation are everything, that kind of quiet condescension burns bridges fast. Drew, for her part, didn't say a word publicly. No tweets, no shady comments, no official statement. She just quietly backed away. But people noticed, especially when Drew stopped mentioning Meghan altogether. No reposts, no friendly recap, not even a throwaway compliment, just silence. And that silence. It was loud then social media caught on. Viewers who had originally praised Meghan's appearance began shifting their tone. Comments rolled in. Some defended her, but many more pointed out how awkward and uncomfortable the whole segment felt. She didn't vibe with Drew at all. She came off like she thought she was better than the whole setup. And the comment that really stuck. If Drew Barrymore, of all people, pulls back, that says everything. Meanwhile, Meghan's team rushed into damage control. Subtle stories popped up, words like misunderstanding and cultural differences. As if it was just a small mix-up over titles or tone. But it wasn't that simple. This wasn't about protocol. It was about energy, tone, the vibe in the room, something you can't fix with a press release. What hurt Meghan's image most wasn't what aired, it was what came after. Whispers that she disrespected the crew. That she demanded royal treatment in a space meant to be equal. That she couldn't drop the Duchess act long enough to just be human. That's when things started to crack. Hollywood may love the idea of royalty gowns, prestige, fantasy, but in reality, it values warmth, relatability, cooperation. If you act like you're above the room stops calling. And for someone trying to build a brand in an industry driven by relationships and reputation, that's not just a misstep, it's a warning. The fallout didn't stop with Drew. Meghan's behavior raised red flags elsewhere. Production houses, event teams, brand reps. People who once saw her as a modern voice began seeing something else. Someone more focused on status than substance. On image over connection. The kind of person who talks about authenticity in interviews but allegedly acts above the people making things happen. That's the version of Meghan. People were beginning to see . And here's the thing about Hollywood. You can be dramatic, eccentric, even difficult, as long as you bring something exceptional. But when the stories about you start overshadowing your work, the industry pulls away. That's exactly what was happening. Meghan's image, already strained by failed deals, headlines, and mixed public opinion, took another hit. This time, it wasn't about a contract or controversy. It was about perception. The growing sense that she just didn't get it. For someone like Drew, who thrives on empathy and connection, that kind of energy didn't fit. She's not just a name on the set, she's involved and protects the vibe. So when Meghan's reported behavior clashed with that, Drew didn't argue or go public, she just stepped back. And in Hollywood, quiet distance speaks louder than any press release. Insiders started connecting the dots. The Spotify exit, Netflix tension, constant staff turnover. It no longer felt random. It looked like a pattern. And in an industry where timing, trust, and chemistry matter, consistency isn't just helpful, it's currency. You can survive a rough start. But if the same issues keep showing up, people stop blaming the projects. They start blaming you. Meghan's lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, was meant to be her polished comeback, but it quickly became a digital punchline. Critics called it overpriced and out of touch. $22 per wine bottle, minimum 3 from someone struggling to keep a brand afloat. Celebrity chef Jameson Saints dubbed it the Great Wine Robbery, and social media ran wild with memes and jokes. Once again, Meghan looked more elite than relatable. For Drew, stepping away wasn't personal, it was smart. She's built a career on warmth and trust, and in Hollywood, one wrong ally can cost everything. So she protected her name and legacy. Meanwhile, Meghan's learning a tough truth. Titles don't open doors here. Charm must be real. And the people behind the scenes, crew, producers, assistants, shape the story after the cameras stop. In Hollywood, every move matters. And when someone like Drew quietly walks away, it's not just one person. It's the whole industry saying, "We see it and we're taking notes."